The main document that is required for a sale of a used car in Victoria in Australia is called Application for Transfer of Registration. So what I want to show is how to fill out the application for transfer of registration, what supporting documents are necessary, and two other documents that are not mentioned in the application but which I found equally as important. So first of all, where do we get the application for the transfer of registration? Very easy, just go to Google, type documents that are required to sell a car in Victoria. That's how I found it. And then I went to official Wix Roads website, web page that goes through the process of buying and selling a vehicle. There is a tab here which says sell a vehicle. Then we're going to register vehicle. My car was registered at the time. And here there are a little bit of instructions, but you notice it says step 2, complete the paperwork. And there is a document called transfer application form, which is a PDF file that we need to download and go through. So first, let's go through this application of transfer of registration and see what it's about. On the first page, this is a little bit more zoomed out version, seller instructions and buyer instructions. On the second page, buyer instructions are continued and a bit of definitions, yet we are not filling out anything here on the first and second page. So these two pages are just for the instruction purposes only. And then on the third page is the actual paperwork. What you notice is that this page is going to Vic Roads. When the buyer bought a car, they bring in this page to Vic Roads to complete the transfer of registration, to complete the purchase of the vehicle. And then third and fourth pages, they're really just copies of this third page. I imagine in the original document there was a carbon copied kind of paperwork. Right now we all deal with PDFs. I imagine if I picked this form from Vic Roads website, it would be a carbon copied form. Here I just have 3 different copies that I need to fill out. And finally, a final page of this document of this form. It's only required if a buyer submits their application for registration by mail, by post. So once again, seller doesn't need to fill out, and most likely the buyer will be completing their application process at Vic Road Center, so they wouldn't be mailing this form. So let's go back to the application for transfer of registration and go back to the first page and see what supporting documents we need to sell the car. And the first thing that comes out straight away is certificate of roadworthiness. Certificate of roadworthiness looks like this. In order to get it, we need to go to a registered tester center and leave a car there for a few hours and then get this certificate. The thing to know about this certificate of roadworthiness, it's valid for about a month or 4 weeks. It needs to be done just before you're doing a sale, but at the same time, if you know that you're selling this car within the next 4 weeks, it's better to have it ready so you don't need to rush for it when you find a buyer. Now, second document that stands out here is certificate of registration. What it really does, it confirms to a buyer that you have the right to sell the vehicle. In my case, I didn't have it. One way to do it is to go online and request this certificate. It costs maybe $20 to get a replacement, and then it gets mailed to you in the mail. That takes time, and actually this document is not really required. What happens that every buyer, if they're a smart buyer and if they're spending all the money on the car, they will check the car details in the Personal Property Security Register. So there is a website called PPSR.gov.au where all the buyers are going to check a car that they decided to buy. And what they're doing there, once they're there, they will confirm those critical details. Am I really the owner of the vehicle? Is there any loans outstanding on the vehicle? The registration details, and if it's been damaged, probably it's going to show up there as well. Certificate of registration, it's a good thing to have, but it's not absolutely critically required, and I completed my car sale without it. Third set of documents is a service stamps in the car service book. Again, I didn't know that my service book was stamped. I was taking my car to dealership for service on a yearly basis, but only one of my buyers said, "Oh, just open your glove compartment." We took out some documents from there, and I found my service book, and somewhere in there I found service stamps for each year of service that my car did. But buyers, when they're diligent, they will be asking for those service stamps. So when you're preparing to sell your car, just check your glove compartment, change your service book, and make sure you have service stamps in there that you can show to the buyers. Next document that needs to be filled out during the car selling process is called proof of purchase receipt. And what it really is, a transaction receipt between me and a buyer. There are several places where it can be obtained from. One place is the Law Depot. In Law Depot, there is a form that I filled out for a motor vehicle sale. It cost me $11 to download this form, and it was a 3-page form, very elaborate, very complicated legalese language. It made sense, but it was somewhat complicated. If you want, you can just go to Law Depot, fill out a form there, and have a form bill of sale ready so that you can use during the sale. Also, I found another form which was way simpler, and it was on a New Zealand website, so I just adapted it for my needs. And if you want, you can just copy this form from the YouTube screen. It just says that the car is being sold for a specific amount, name of buyer, name of seller, how much it's being sold. And this gives a buyer some sort of record of how much they paid for a car, and gives me a record for how much I sold the car for. So having those documents ready, having a roadworthy certificate ready, having certificate of registration ready, makes filling out the rest of the application very straightforward, because all we need to do is just to go to pages 3, 4, and 5 and fill out seller details, fill out buyer details. Then a little bit further down the road, fill vehicle details from certificate of registration, and fill out roadworthy details from roadworthy certificate. So it's a roadworthy serial number, issue date, and mechanics details. One more thing that this form brings up is that a buyer needs to pay a duty when they're buying a car. So they need to pay a tax to the government. And on the page 2, there are details of how much a buyer will be paying. 2 more things that are important, that I found important. My car had a link tag that is used on the toll roads, and what to do with it. One way of dealing with it was just to peel it off, but I didn't want to peel it off. So what we've done is we just co-linked. I pull out my account statement, and if you notice, I have 2 tags, and 1 tag I didn't need. So this tag that was ending with number 29, within probably 7 minutes, me and the buyer, we were on the phone with Linked, and they just transferred this tag into the buyer's name from the time the transaction was made. So when the buyer was driving away with my car, if they go to a toll road, it would automatically go on their toll account, and we didn't need to detach any tags. And finally, the most important document for myself is a bank check. So a bank check is a way to transfer money, and it is one of the safer ways to transfer money. This is an example of a bank check that I found on the internet, and it's actually from ANZ Bank in Fiji. What's really good about bank check is that it is written in my name, and it has the amount of money in there, and all I need to do is just to take it to my bank and deposit money in my bank account. So that's it. Those are the documents that are required to complete a used car sale in Victoria, in Australia.